In other news, the Sail Grand Prix circuit returns to the Big Apple this weekend. Judy Shaw spoke with Mike Buckley, co-owner and CEO of the U.S. SailGP team, about his journey from world champion sailor to team owner, as well as a new level of enthusiasm for the sport. Take a look.
I spent the last almost 20 years competing, and I used to find myself on Monday morning after a race, whether I won or maybe I got my butt kicked, I kind of always felt the same way, that I was missing the competition throughout the week. And I started to study other athletes. And I remember LeBron talking about wanting to be more than an athlete. I started kind of, how do these athletes commercialize themselves, their teams, their businesses? And so for me, this is a way for me to be able to compete kind of 24/7. And as I get to the end of my racing career, it allows me to, have that in my life. And I love the business side of things. And, it's a constant battle to bring on new partners and, marketing and building a team culture, on and off the water. So it allows me to be able to do that every day of the week.
Now, speaking of bringing on new partners, you've got a star-studded group backing the team, including Lindsey Vonn, DJ Khaled, and Issa Rae. So how did that all come together?
I've been at this for probably 6 or 7 years when I really decided that I was going to go after, trying to create a team that's commercially sustainable and bring in partners so that you're not relying on patronage. It's all about relationships. And, I think we knocked on a lot of doors, and, I set myself up with some pretty big dreams that sometimes feel pretty crazy. But I wanted to be able to dip into, other markets, right? What Lindsey has done for skiing. She's an icon, a global icon, right? And there's a huge connection between the demographics that sail and ski. So we thought that was a natural connection. And obviously she's, a just unbelievable competitor, right? So the things we can learn from her in the boardroom are just unlimited. What DJ Khaled's done for golf, and his kind of let's go golfing theme that he's built the last few years. When I saw that, I immediately sent him a DM and said, let's go sailing. I have a relationship with Rock Nation, and one thing led to another. And when you start to, work really, really hard and not afraid of being told no, your dreams start to, little bits of them can turn into reality. And that's kind of what I always tell myself.
Now, SailGP is growing fast, both as a sport and as a business. What momentum are you seeing, and how is the U.S. team leaning in?
Yeah, the momentum and the growth is just through the roof, right? What Larry Ellison and Russell Coutts, what they dreamed up, 6-7 years ago, and what's come to fruition is, I think, beyond most wildest dreams. This year in the U.S., our TV numbers on CBS, we're averaging almost 840,000 viewers on the U.S. broadcast for the first 3 races of the season. To kind of put that into perspective, National Hockey League is kind of in the 500,000, Formula One's 1.1 million, Major League Baseball is 1.1 million. So we're in the conversation. We're by no means as big as they are, kind of overall footprint, but we're starting to be in the conversation, and that's a huge start. Right now we have 13 races around the world. There's 12 teams. And what's unique about SailGP is the racing is really close to the cities that we race in. So here in New York City, we'll be racing right off the financial district, in between the Statue of Liberty and Governor's Island, and it's easy for New Yorkers to come and check it out. SailGP's really brought the racing closer to the fan, and because of that, the fans, have easy access, and the growth is real.